Hey everybody, it's time for a Photoshop tip, and what I'll be sharing with you is what I call a dreamy light air look that is awesome on portraits and boudoir shoots. Are we ready for this? Let's do it! Okay, this is going to be a major Photoshop tip for you. This is a technique I've been using for years. It's what I call a dreamy look, very light and airy type style and look in your imagery. It works great, again, for boudoir shoots and even formal portraits. So here we'll start out in Photoshop with this image, and the very first thing I'm going to do is duplicate the image. So Control-J or Command-J on a Mac to duplicate this layer. So again, with this photograph here, we'll just do Control-J. And that's now duplicated. Next thing I'm going to do is turn this into a smart object layer. And if you don't know what that means, I describe that in my courses when I teach for Midwest Photography Workshop in Southeast Michigan. But basically, it helps make a layer non-destructive when you're applying different filters to it. So this will make more sense in a few minutes. To convert that to a smart object layer, what you have to do is a right mouse click right here on the layer to choose Convert to Smart Object. You'll find that if you actually click on the thumbnail of the layer, you're not going to see that option. So it's really important to right mouse click on the side in the gray area right there. When I right mouse click, I will choose Convert to Smart Object. And you'll see a little symbol right here indicating to you and to me that is now a smart object layer. So as an example, I'm going to go to my image drop-down menu. I'm going to choose Adjustment, and I'm going to actually convert this to black and white by choosing the black and white adjustment layer. And it embeds that into the smart object layer, which means if I change the look of the reds in this image, and this actually has an effect on the black and white. Let me push it all the way down to the left. Click on OK. You'll see over here in layers, we have a black and white adjustment layer, but it's embedded in the smart object layer, which means anytime I can come back and double click right here where it says black and white, and that reopens up the dialog box, and I can actually come back anytime to readjust this based on my needs. So I'm going to leave that about right there. Maybe move the yellows a little bit, push that up a bit. Again, this is all personal preference. I can always go back and readjust that. Now, my next step is, again, I'm still on the same layer over here, and that is I'm going to go to Filter and apply a blur, and the type of blur I'm going to apply is called a Gaussian blur. And again, because it's on a smart object layer, if I push that blur all the way up like this, as an example, click on OK, I can always come back to this, double click right here where it says Gaussian blur, and it pulls up the dialog box, and I can readjust that anytime I want. So if I feel that I blurred it too much, I can always come back and unblur that. And if I didn't blur it enough, I can go back and apply more blur to it. So I'm going to leave that about right there so it's blurred. And then the technique we're going to do next is apply a blending mode from the very top. And sometimes, and again, it's really based on your image, I'm going to choose Overlay versus Soft Light. So these two are used a lot. So I'll just make it Soft Light for right now. And you can see a very dreamy type look to it. Here's the before and after. I'm going to turn that off. And that's after. So that's before and that's after. Okay, with that done, I'm going to change my blending mode to something called Screen. I like to use Screen a lot, and it gives a very light, airy look to it. I think that's maybe a little bit too intense. You might like that because, again, this is all personal preference. But I might pull the opacity down on this to maybe, let's go close to 70% on that. And there's my before and after. Still very airy, and it has an airy look to it, very light and airy, I should say. And let's pull that down maybe a little bit more, maybe 55%. And again, personal taste on that, but a very dreamy, light, airy feel to this image right there. So this is what I started with. and this is what we ended up with. So hopefully you learned something on this Photoshop tip for you for the day. And if you can do me a favor, you know that drill right there, and that is please ask me any questions you'd like. My email address will be in the show notes. If you have an idea for something that you would like to see covered, let me know on that. Also, again, part of that drill is please like this video if you could, subscribe because it is free, and hit that notification bell. That helps that algorithm with YouTube to help spread the news on my channel. Appreciate it, guys and gals. Talk to you later. See ya.